Hi.
This is April 16th, 2011. We're at the San Francisco Hilton at Union Square. My name's Karen Perrone. I'm interviewing Terry Ballard, and he is currently at the New York Law School.
Yes.
And you've had several different places that you've worked through the years.
Starting with Delphi University. By the way, I came into existence in 1990 when I got my first job
Okay.
out of library school working for an innovative library.
Okay.
And that's all I've ever worked at is innovative libraries, except for having a part-time job at St. John's while I was still working for Delphi, which is an innovative library.
Okay.
So I've been there since the old days.
So, and then from
In
there,
OPEC,
from
yes.
there you went to,
New York, NYU Law.
Karen. Okay.
Good idea.
You went to,
NYU Law, briefly.
okay,
It's not my greatest gig. We'll just leave it there.
okay. And then you were in Connecticut too.
Then I put in a dozen years at Quinnipiac University in Hamden, Connecticut, just north of New Haven,
Okay.
which turned out very well, for me anyway.
Always in systems positions?
Always, yeah.
All right. How did you get involved with the IUG?
Golly, I remember Adelphi was very parsimonious about travel expenses, so I missed the first one. And then I was at the second one in Columbus, Ohio. And I think I met somebody named Karen Perrone who worked upstate New York at the time, if I got that right. Okay, then that is where we met.
Yeah. And so you've been involved with the IUG pretty much from the very beginning then?
Yes, I'm a pioneer, yes.
All right.
Except I missed the first one. I'll never get over that.
But you came to the second one, got the T-shirt.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, along the way, you wrote a book
Yes.
called InnoPack.
A reference guide to the system. And that was, I was under contract to do that when I went to Columbus for the second IUG. So I got lunch with Jerry and Leslie, and we just talked over what it is this was going to involve.
Mm-hmm. Were they open to having?
Oh, they thought it was great.
Yeah?
I remember Jerry saying, gee, I never thought they'd write a book about our system. That heavens, I mean, I got the idea when I was working one night at St. John's, and of course they have a library school, so they have everything ever done about library computer systems, and somebody had done a book on DRA or something that, some brand X out there that, and I thought, well, if they can have a book, we can.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was accepted from the publisher Information Today, and it's sold pretty good. It's such a niche thing. They only printed 500 copies, and
Wow.
as far as I know, they all sold.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
You were also on the steering committee at one point.
Yes.
How did you get involved with that?
Oh, they approached me.
Okay.
Let's see, that was back at the end of my NYU days, and I got a message from Linda Bills that several people had recommended me to run. So I said, well, sure. And then I was elected. I was very slow finding out, but I finally did find out. And at that time, I was choosing between two jobs. One of them was a non-innovative library, part of the CUNY system in Staten Island, and the other was Quinnipiac. And they both had their problems in terms of getting there, for a guy that lives on Long Island. But I kind of went with Quinnipiac, and it kind of helped tilt the balance that, I was going to be on the steering committee.
Good. And while you were on the steering committee, what conferences were you involved
That
in?
was first Nashville, secondly Oakland.
Let's talk about Nashville.
Oh, yes. Y'all?
You went there about a month before the conference for a steering committee visit,
Right.
and just talk about what happened at that meeting.
Oh. It's just a dim recollection, I'm afraid.
Okay.
I remember that was just before the big tornado.
Right.
And we just kind of got our, act together in assignments. I was assigned to lead the committee to get AV resources to people. I know you were on that committee.
Mm-hmm. Those are back in the days when we had a few projectors and we had to get them from room to room.
Right.
And then we talk about the tornado and the after
Yeah.
effects.
Oh,
of
one
that.
other thing I remember for that, that pre-conference thing was that Fred and Diana went to dinner, and she took an extreme reaction to some kind of seafood, and he had to take her to the emergency room.
What a way to start
Yeah,
the
that
conference.
was exciting. And then, of course, the conference itself, the big excitement was the bus companies that we'd contracted for to take people to the Grand Ole Opry simply never showed up. So there was this chaotic situation where people, would get in a cabs 5 at a time, and finally the bus company woke up and started sending a few buses, but it was a disaster. I think that was that soured IUG for all time on having organized touristy things tied into their conference, which was too bad because some of those were kind of nice.
It was a nice camaraderie.
Yeah. That's the only time in my life I've seen Fred Gertler mad. And he was turning red from ear to ear.
I remember it well.
Yeah, yes.
How do you think the steering committee and the IUG in general works with Innovative? Do you think it's a good mix?
Oh,
or?
it's a wonderful,
Mhm.
wonderful relationship.
Mhm.
All, from what I've seen, it always has been.
Okay. Is there any particular reason why you think so, or?
I've just noticed that the company's been very helpful with us, and I can't think of a single time when they've disappointed.
So how many,
They really appreciate having this group,
Yeah.
and why not?
we're our best sales mechanism. How many conferences have you attended?
This
then?
is my 16th.
16.
And they still haven't given me the T-shirt yet, so
Yeah.
I'm going to get on somebody's case.
All right, we'll fix that. Do you have any other conferences that come to mind when you think about the many that you've attended?
Well, one of my favorite memories was in Nashville when we were all singing along with Jerry the Davy Crockett song. And of course, Oakland, which I was still on the committee. And my favorite memory from Oakland has got to be when we were stuffing those black bags, and they were about 4 feet in the air, so I got the idea to fall over backwards into the bags. Everybody else followed suit. It was just crazy.
That was during the team building exercise.
Yes.
How do you think the IUG has thrived for all these years? Why is it still relevant?
Because people have invested a lot of money and resources, into the system, and the more synergy you can get, the better. Because I find the quality of information we get from other users is just wonderful. Whereas when you call the service desk, they'll answer your question, but with this, you learn from other people and figure out how to take this thing to the limit.
Mm-hmm. You've given a number of programs over the years too, haven't
Yes,
you?
yes.
You want to talk about some of those?
Golly, I don't even remember what all it's. I've got the Fred Gertler problem. He'd get five talks at one conference, so it's like, I know I've talked, I love library automation, and I'm always just perfectly happy to get up and talk to any audience greater than 0. So I don't care if it's 2 people or 500. As soon as I get going at this, I go into some sort of automatic mode, because as long as I'm interested in what I'm talking about, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had horrible speaking experiences, but not at library conferences. At one point I found that I could get almost any proposal accepted. So starting in 2005, virtually everything I've suggested doing ended up in a speech. But a couple of them that were only in the periphery of library land turned out really bad, because You know how it is when, I don't know if you know how it is, but when you look out and there's just no reaction, and then my voice goes up in register, and I just want to get through this and go get a drink. So, I've had a couple of, bombed presentations. So just because you can get the proposal doesn't mean anybody cares about what you say, so. But
Okay.
on the other hand, on the whole, it's been mostly wonderful.
Good.
And for a shy person,
You're not shy.
honestly, I am. If I go to a party, I will talk to people if they talk to me first. That's a shy person.
Okay.
I had a boss that would walk on any train and come out with 8 best friends, but he was the extrovert. I'm the shy guy.
What kind of changes have you seen in the conference over the years, from the early days?
Oh, it's just got big. I mean, it's kind of funny when I walk into the party and don't know a single person, It's like, whoa, time has marched on.
So if were you ever involved with the enhancements?
In what?
Enhancements?
No.
No, I haven't been involved with that.
Terrible with enhancements.
Yeah.
I just figure, hey, they'll pick the right ones. So, and next year, I'll be doing better with that.
If you were to change one thing about the IUG, make it better, what would you propose?
Go back to hot lunches
Hot lunches.
instead of box lunches, yes.
Okay, and why?
I
It's
just-
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I just, even when, it was always going to be roast chicken and potatoes, it was just, I think, better food. And I liked having, a luncheon place where they make speeches and have fun, and, the idea of just grabbing a box lunch and splitting off in 10 different directions does not appeal to me.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. Okay, is there anything else that you'd like to add to this?
It's been a great ride. It's been wonderful. Met wonderful people at this, and I've never been to an IUG where I didn't come back with an idea that I could put right to work, usually 4 or 5. So I always felt like I got my money's worth here.
Okay, well, thank you, Terry, for spending some time with us.
My pleasure.